I'm back again with another episode of the series that I've been doing on a Wednesday, which is my cast member series. So we've kind of gone through like the gist of what my job was and getting to Florida. So now I kind of want to go through some of the stories that I have. So I think today I'm going to start with the good ones, and then maybe next week I'll do like the really bad ones. So I'm just going to talk about all the really cool, fun things that happened to me during my program and what made it extra special. Where should I start? I mean, the whole program itself is obviously really special. You're moving to Florida for 3 to 4 months or a year if you're doing a year program. But there were some things that happened that made it super extra special. So I'm going to talk about those. Now I'm going to start with ones that happened in my job. So some of these are just awesome for me, and some of them are like cool stories. So one of the really fun things that we got to do when I was a cast member is attend cast member parties at your theme park. And I had an amazing party at Animal Kingdom. It's actually, the party took place where Avatar is going to be put. There is actually a staff building that, basically, let me explain how the back of the park looks if you're not sure. So what was Camp Mini Mickey? Behind that was actually a big field, and then there was a road, and then the other side of the field there was like the staff, like it was a big canteen, like the main staff canteen for Animal Kingdom. And then behind that was the parade building for the Mickey's Jungle Jam, forgot his name, the jungle parade that happened in the jungle parade that happened in Animal Kingdom. I got there in the end of the words. So you can come into like work that way, and when you're going to work there's a little gate that you have to go through, and you have to show them in your bag and your name tag to actually get let on property. And one day, I don't remember what it was for, I just remember it being a party, like a summer party. So I took all of my friends with me. I think it was only meant to be for people who worked in Animal Kingdom. But I was like, yeah, we'll just bring everyone. So we all turned up at Animal Kingdom. We went through the back entrance there, walked down. There was actually a bus that used to go, like one of the transport buses, you know, the ones that pick you up and take you to your resort and that. There was one of those there that would pick you up from the gate and drive you the like literally like 3-minute walk to the building. So if it was there, I always jump on it. It literally used to do a loop. And they decked it all out. We walked in, and I remember it was completely catered, and they had the pulled pork sandwiches from Flame Tree Barbecue. They had the pizzas from Pizza Safari. They had the chicken burgers from Restaurantosaurus, and they had like drinks, your tea, coffee. You had frozen Minute Maid lemonade, and they gave you like I remember I get a cup. I'm gonna find almost, because I'm driving home this weekend, so I'm gonna go grab all my Disney like cast member stuff, and then next week I'll show it to you. I'll go through it all and show you all the really cool stuff I got. But you got this plastic like tanker thing that said Animal Kingdom on it, and there was a party. You sat on like a big table, and they had music playing. And all I remember, and this literally sums me up in a nutshell, is a like freezer full of Mickey premium bars and Mickey ice cream sandwiches, and you could just help yourself. Like what? I mean, I love Mickey premium bars. I only had one, which is really restraining for me. I'm surprised. Now I would probably go and eat them all. But it was really fun. They played like all the music that was like modern and cool. And then out the back, they had like a fun fair. So they had carnival games that you could play, and it was just really cool. And the prizes that you won in the carnival games were the ones that you win by Chester's and Hester's, like that amusement area, so like the lizards and things like that. But they were free to play, so you could just literally play, and if you didn't win, you could play again. And I remember my brothers actually got them, so if we film this weekend, I might point them out. I just got loads of the lizards, like so many of the toys. I was like carrying them home like this. And that was just really fun, and it was just one of those things that Disney just does for the staff. Like, it was really cool just having an Animal Kingdom party for a few hours. I can't remember if there was a reason for it, or if it was just like a celebrating working at Animal Kingdom, but I'm pretty sure all the parks did it as well, and it was like really, really super cool. And this started a trend for like free Mickey premium bars. I remember occasionally on days on our lunch that we would used to go to the cafeteria, and there'd just be a box of Mickey premium bars, and they would just be like, help yourself. So that was like a complete winner for me. The animals, I think, will be my next point. The animals at Animal Kingdom were so amazing, and because I worked the Tree of Life, I could do the Discovery Island trails quite a lot. And I don't know if they're still all there now, but when I was doing it, there is a catfish called Bruce, and I named him Bruce because he was a shark catfish that didn't eat fish. And I remember standing there once, and the keepers that are there, the people that work with the animals, came over, and I was like, "Oh, you here to like feed Bruce?" And he was like, "How do you know his name's Bruce?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't. I thought I made it up." And he's like, "No, that's actually his name." I was like, "That's really cool." I kind of knew. Bruce the shark catfish was like my favourite because I used to just watch him. He literally does. So to describe where he is, if you're going into the park, trees here, if you go on the left hand side and where the first aid building roughly is, there's like a little walkway there. He's right there, and it's a little bit of water. No one ever stops to see him, and he's just chilling. He usually does little laps, and I loved him. Another perk of being a cast member is getting to go to cast member exclusive previews of things. When I was there is when the Hollywood Tower of Terror was changing its theme, so it was going to the one where they have the picture review on it. Now, before they launch any new attraction or theme or parade or anything in Disney, they usually have a cast preview night, which is usually for the people that work in that park and their friends and family that are also cast members. So I went to the one of Tower of Terror. And the way that worked is they kept us all in the backstage area, so we all had to be out of like the sight of the guests until all the guests left the park and the park was closed. And then for about an hour or two, they opened Tower of Terror purely for the cast members. Oh my god! Like, most of them were college kids because it was in the middle of summer and it was quite late in the evening, so no one really wanted to go. Like if they were full time. Oh my god, it was so good. I think I rode it 12 times in a row. We just got off, got back on, got off, because obviously where there's like not that many people there, you could just get on and on and on and on and on, and it was so good. And they changed it every single time. The cast members were extra excited because obviously they knew they were other cast and they could kind of let loose a little bit. They weren't in front of guests and they would jump out and scare us as we were going in the queue, and it was so good. And I remember, actually, this is the story, it's one of my favourites to talk about when I'm talking about Tower of Terror. Now we all got on the ride, sat down, and I did my seatbelt up, didn't think anything on of it, and the guy was like, "Oh, you know, everyone just make sure, you know, you're all seated," and he said, "Make sure everyone's seated and done your seatbelt up," and he pointed to me and he was like, "Your seatbelt's not clicked in properly." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh, it is?" He's like, "No, it isn't, you just need to adjust it." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's no problem." So I was like trying to adjust my seatbelt, and I was like, "It's not adjusting?" And he's like, yeah, you just have to quickly adjust it, just pull it and then it will be secure because it's not secure at the moment." And I was like, "What do I do? Like, it's not working? Like, what?" And then the door started closing. He's like, "Oh, never mind." And I was like, "What?" Like, oh my god, is my seatbelt gonna come off? He was just messing with me. I was like, "What do I do?" Because I kind of half knew he was joking, but then there was a part of me that like, is my seatbelt actually like not attached? And everyone was laughing and I was freaking out, being like, "Is it attached?" I was getting like the people next to me like, "Pull the seatbelt," and like, "Is it coming off?" And looking back, it was funny. At the time, it was funny, but I was also like a little bit nervous that I was gonna die. But that's the kind of thing. I mean, that you probably wouldn't get away with doing that to guests, but because we were all cast, they were like, "Let's tell her harness isn't attached and just send her on the ride," so she gets really freaked out. And I was like, "Oh my god!" So another really cool thing I did whilst on my program was going to Universal Studios. Now, this sounds weird because it's not Disney, but actually, because I was a Florida resident, I got resident passes for Universal and for SeaWorld a lot cheaper than normal people. Like, I could get a year's pass for like nothing basically. So we went to Universal a few times, and actually we were there the year that the Wizarding World of Harry Potter opened, and we decided to go on opening day. Me and a couple of the people I worked with, we were like, "Let's go, we've got the day off." Well, we didn't, but we got the day off, and and we all got there really, really, really early. And I remember getting in there being so excited because it was like the first day, and we got as far around as like oh my god, what is that section of it called with the cartoon strip and the Dudley Do Right's Falls? It's gonna really annoy me. We got to that section. I'm gonna edit this and I'm gonna be like, "It was this," but we got to that section, and that's where the queue started to get into Hogsmeade. And when we were queuing, they gave you a number, and the number was so you knew what place you were in line, so that if you left the line for any reason and came back, you would be in that same place, and it would stop people jumping in the queue in front of you and things like that, which was really good because we queued for hours, literally hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I think it was about 6 hours we queued, because what we did is we went in groups, so like a few of us would go and do rides and then come back, and then another few would go and do it like that. And we actually didn't get to see the bit with like the cast. I know a few of the cast members came to open it and there was fireworks, but we weren't far enough down the queue that we actually got to be in Hogsmeade to witness that. We heard it, but I didn't see it. I saw the fireworks, but that's about as much as we saw. And then it's like, fine, this will be worth it, you know, this is going to be amazing. We got in to Hogsmeade and then found out that that queue that we were in was just to get into the area. The queues for all of the stores was like hours. The ride, I think, was another 3-4 hours on top of that. So we're like, okay, let's start queuing again for the ride, but obviously only really going to get Harry Potter done today. So we queued up for the Forbidden Journey. All of the lockers were completely full at that point, so you had to wait, like hover around the touchpad things, waiting for someone to come along so that you could take the locker that they kind of stopped using. And the queue line for that was, if you can imagine, so we were queuing outside of the main entrance of the ride, and then they had the whole of the garden, like the greenhouse scene, all of that was open. Like we did every single part of the queue that could be a queue, we used that day. And I did the ride and it was really good, apart from there's one scene with a certain animal that I'm not a fan of. I always close my eyes at now. And it was really cool. And then we came off the ride. Would I wait that long normally? No. Was it a really cool experience? Yes, I could say I was there opening day. And then we went and did a couple of the shops. No, we did one shop. We did the Honeydukes. And the annoying thing is it Honeydukes? Yeah. The annoying thing is that all the merchandise that's in Harry Potter was also in the main Universal shop, like the Islands of Adventure shop. So I queued for I think we queued for at least an hour just to get into Honeydukes. And I bought a couple of the chocolate wands. I got a couple of other things, a chocolate chocolate frog, and some of the like other sweets. There wasn't as much of a selection then as there is now. And then we left and it was too busy, so we were like, we want to do Ollivanders, but the queue for that was insane. Same for Dragon Challenge. There was like no way we were getting on that. So we decided to go and do a little bit more of the park. It was like, by that point we were done with the day, and I remember going to the gift shop on the way out, and they had, I don't even know where it is now, I'm gonna have to find it, a Wizarding World of Harry Potter t-shirt, and it was black and it said Wizarding World of Harry Potter in gold writing, and I was like, I need to get this and I'm going to wear it today and tomorrow when I know no one else has been there. Everyone will be like, oh my god, she's been to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and I'll be like, yes I did. Another really cool thing actually is Rupert Grint was on my plane on the way to Florida, because I remember someone from security mentioning it, that they were all coming for the opening of the park, and I remember there being a special Harry Potter plane, I think, from Virgin, because I flew Virgin, and it was really cool. Anyway, long story short, I had an amazing day and I got to be in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter on opening day, and I got to queue for a stupid amount of time for a ride that was good, but not as good as the wait time sort of required for it. And talking of cool ride things I got to do, another thing I got to do is when I was on the Kilimanjaro Safari, is we got to go on a special safari where they basically break down how the whole ride works, and where the animals go, and what cues you should be looking at and where you should be at a certain point in the ride, because you know they kind of stop at certain points. That was really cool. So as you're getting on the ride, you'll see when they stop to start with, there's a light, it's like a little lantern. When the light starts flashing, your vehicle's allowed to go. If it's not flashing, it's just letting you know that there's a car has gone past a certain point and you're allowed to start. Another really cool thing is when you go over the chainmail, I don't know if you hear it when it goes over them, what it is just getting rid of all the dirt and everything from the tyres, because different areas of the exhibits have different animals in, and you don't want to, I know it sounds really gross, but like get the poo from one animal in another area and things like that. It just stops contamination between the sections. What else? There's a few little rocks throughout the ride, which says like this far to like Kenya and whatever. The times on those tell you how long you should be in the ride. So I think it's about, I can't remember how long the ride is now. There's a marker that says you should be 2 minutes in by now. So I always used to clock like how far are we through. And then what the cool things are that I can tell you about Kilimanjaro Safaris. The animals, if you ever wonder how they aren't near you, like take the cheetah section for example, you have a bit of shrubbery, and then you have a moat which you can't see, and then the animals are on the other side of that on like their area. So there's actually no way they could come up to you. Those animals, obviously some can. I've really started a funny story about a rhino that just would not get out of the way, and they had to come and coax him away with food. But that's how those animals kind of stay away from you. And they have certain sexes in certain areas. So like I think all the females are at Kilimanjaro Safari and all the males are at like Animal Kingdom Lodge. I can't remember what way around it is or what if it was certain animals, but I remember there being like the sexes were separated that way. Oh yeah, when you're going through the savannah bit, you'll see the trees that look like those trees. The only way I can describe them is during the Lion King. They're like really thin and they go out really far. They're actually willow trees that they've just cut to make look like that. So you'll see there's like mesh going around the base of the tree. That's to stop the animals kind of destroying it, but it's also to stop anything growing, and they keep that trimmed so it looks like the kind of native tree that you'll see in Africa, but it's actually just a willow tree that they've pruned to shape like that. What else? I hate to break this to you, but the like the ants' heels, they're fake. Sorry. They're like cement, I think, for those ones. They're just meant to be a representation of what they would actually look like. And the ostrich eggs, they're also fake. I'm sorry if I ruined that for you. But I think that's kind of the gist of those. And what you don't see as well is on the front of the cars, they have teeny tiny mirrors so that you can see if there's any animals running in front of your car when you're driving it. So that was really cool. We got to do a tour of that before doing it and discovering all the little secrets, because I really am like interested in how rides work and all the things like that, which is really, really cool. I also got to go backstage in Dinosaur and see their control room, and I actually got to go on one of their vehicles in their like maintenance room, and you don't realise how far off the ground they are. They're like really high. You have to get on a step ladder to get off them, which is ridiculous, but really cool. You just obviously don't see it when you get on the ride because you're already on a platform that's kind of higher. Another really cool thing I got to do was a couple of days on my programme, I got to go help out the guy that goes around and just checks the cast member building. I can't remember what he does. I think he has to empty the bin in the cast member like staff room, but he has a truck, this guy, and he just drives from one location to the other. And I think he starts at 6 a.m. and it was done by 12. And I remember he used to let me nap in the van. So if there was an area where like, because he would do the men's section, I'd do the women's. And everyone loves this shift, by the way. I think you start at 6 and you ended like 12:1. And if there was a section we were going to where he knew that only men worked there, he would let you just stay in the car. And I tell you what, I used to nap in that car. I'd just be like, yeah, you just listen to your music and I'll have like a 20-minute sleep while you're going around doing whatever. And the areas I got to go into were all of the showrooms. So I remember going into the parade building and watching everyone set up for the parade, and that was really cool. Seeing everyone get on the floats and things like that. And then I remember meeting Pocahontas when she used to do the meet and greet in Camp Mini Mickey. She was lovely. The conversation we had is she was asking me if I knew where any good nights out were in Orlando, and I was like, no, but okay. So Pocahontas likes to party, that's what I learned. And who else did I meet? Oh, I got to meet all the cast in Finding Nemo, and they were really cool. Their outfits are ridiculous, like some of the things they have to wear. And I got to have a look at the puppet that they use, which is really cool. And Festival of the Lion King, which I got to go to quite a lot when it used to be in the old theatre. Their setup for their like staff hangout room is really weird. They have like a bit in the end which is like almost like a gym, and that was mainly where the guys that do the monkey tumbling they do all their stretches, and they have bars and they like work out beforehand. And then you've got all the singers and the dancers are getting all their makeup on and everything, and you've got the stilt walkers there. I remember seeing Divine getting ready, and she, to get ready, had to sit. So if you imagine like a vanity with the mirrors, she had to sit on the table. I remember her sitting there when I was walking in to see her and see if she was okay. She had her stilts on, and she was sitting on the vanity, like touching up her makeup. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing. And that's before I knew who she was. So I was like, what do you do? And she's like, I just wander around and people take pictures. And okay, that's pretty cool. Who else did I meet? Oh, I remember meeting Tigger and Winnie the Pooh lots, and they were really fun because the characters, they're a pretty big deal, so they didn't have to work as much as everyone else. They got paid a little bit more than everyone else because obviously they're like the big the big deal. And they would work 20 minutes on, and then 40 minutes, they'd have a 40-minute break, and then do 20 minutes and then 40 minutes. Because you can imagine, like, when they've got a lot of fur, it gets really hot. So I was envious of their times though. Like, they were always in the break room, hanging out, eating honey, doing silly things. And I was like, no, I'm not going to work. But it was just really cool, like, to meet all the characters, but like in a more candid environment where they're just hanging out at their lunch. Like, be like, hey, or ask them a really cool question, not know that they're on, sort of thing. So I really enjoyed that, and that was a really cool experience. And some of my actual housemates got to be, or some of the people I was friends with got to be friends of characters, and that was really cool, hearing that what that was like. And that was just really fun as well, just to get to understand everyone's different roles and things like that. I think some of my fondest memories of the programme are actually right at the very end, like the last week. And I know, and loads of people ask me this actually, that living in America sounds like the dream. But I tell you what, there's some, like, I got so homesick, especially near the end. You really miss England. I know that sounds crazy because within 2 days of me being home, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back now. I really wanted to go home, and I was kind of happy that my like time at the programme was coming to an end. And I think I remember our graduation, and once you've done the programme, and if you haven't been termed, we'll go into that, you get to go to your graduation ceremony, and they give you, I've put up pictures of this before, they give you a graduation hat and a scroll to say you've completed the Disney College programme, and you get a little voucher to say you're allowed to get your whatever engraved on the, whatever put on the back of the hat for free. And you get to this big, it's in Mickey's Retreat, which is right near our complex, and they have a DJ, they have like the food, they have the Rice Krispie treats, they had special cups. All the characters were there in their graduation outfits. Mickey and Minnie, they have a photo spot which you go and you line up and you get the photo with them in their graduation outfits and you in your graduation hat. And then around the area there's Goofy and Donald and Daisy, and they are letting loose. I mean, that the Goofy in general, he can really break dance. Like, oh my goodness, he was like taking it low, and Daisy was doing some kind of crazy shuffle that I'd never seen. They were like full on. I think Mickey and Goofy actually had a dance battle at one point, and it was so amazing to witness. And I was like, this is so cool. This is my program. This is everything I love about Disney rolled into one. Like, I'm having such a good time with so many like-minded people. But it was kind of bittersweet as well because we knew it was coming to an end, and this was kind of like the final hurrah for our program. And then the worst thing that you don't get prepared for before you go is your final day. The final day that you spend, oh my god, I'm gonna get really sad. So for our very last day at Disney, we all decided, all of our housemates and the friends we've made decided to do a day together. So we started off, we went to 1900 Park Fair in the Grand Floridian for breakfast. We all had the buffet, and there you get to meet all the characters. And then we all decided to park hop. So we went from there to Epcot, got a drink, hung out there for a bit, went to Hollywood Studios, went to Animal Kingdom, and then ended up in Magic Kingdom. All I remember, more than anything else, we went to Tony's Town Square for dinner. I would not recommend that to my worst enemy. I despise Tony's Town Square. I think it's because I worked there for so long. I remember having the meatballs, and I was like, this is the same meatballs that they put in the subs. You know, the subs, the meatball subs. The sauce and the meatballs is the same in this getting meatballs. And I was like, I'm paying a lot more for this, and it's not even that good. And I actually got heat stroke this day. I was fine the whole holiday, but for this, I keep calling it a holiday when it really wasn't. I was fine for the whole trip, but for the last day I managed to get heat stroke, and I felt really sick, but I was not going to let that stop me. I was going to continue and power through the evening. I remember we went and watched Hall of Presidents as one of our like final rides to really give us like the true American feeling before it all finished. And then we all went and sat and watched Main Street Electrical Parade, and then, oh my god, Wishes happened, and this was literally the most emotional I've ever got on my whole program. So the very last thing I remember is us all standing there watching Wishes, and it was so emotional, like, to know that the whole time had come to an end, and these, like, I think there was 10 or 12 of us were stood there. This was probably going to be one of the last times that we all saw each other, especially my friends that lived in Mexico, because they all lived in different parts of Mexico that I'm probably not going to visit. And it was so sad, like, in a nice way, like, to look back at all the really amazing things we'd done. We all just started crying. It must have looked ridiculous to all the other guests that they're like, why are these crazy people crying at the fireworks? It wasn't just the fireworks, it was just wrapping up our whole program, and it makes me really sad to think about it, because like the Disney program really shapes your life in the way I know it sounds ridiculous that you wouldn't think, like your whole outlook on customer service and your whole appreciation for Disney completely changes. And it was, I don't know, it just was all over, and we all knew that we'd be getting our flights the next day and we'd all be leaving at different times, and we wouldn't be going back to work anymore, and we wouldn't have these amazing trips to Universal with our housemates, and we wouldn't be going to SeaWorld together or going to the parks in an evening and hanging out. That was it. It was all over. Like, I really miss it. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, because when I was there, like, near the end, more than anything else, I wanted it to be over. Like, I was done with my job, I was done with America, I was done with all the citizens there, and the way you get treated as a British person in America is interesting. But I would do it again in a heartbeat. I mean, I've looked at doing the year-long program, and obviously now in my life it's probably not really, like, I have commitments now. I've got Ash here, I've got a flat, I've got furniture that I've bought, like I have bills, I have a credit card that I need to pay off. It's like life kind of gets in the way a little bit, and I really enjoy the holidays I can have now, but like every time we go I look back and be like, oh, you know, I did this as a cast member, I did this, and it was such an incredible experience. If it is something you're looking to do, I would 100% recommend it without even thinking about it, because if you hate it and it's the worst thing you've ever done, you can leave early. Like, people did leave early. I know that they would regret it as soon as they got home and it all settled in, but that happens. And I also remember on my actual very last day of work, I wore an actual badge. You know, it says I'm celebrating. I put last day of my college program, and I remember seeing this like family with a kid, and they were like pointing at my badge, and I was like, oh, they're probably like saying that's weird, or I should be celebrating finishing. And the little girl from the family, and this sounds so weird, like out of Disney, that this is a weird thing to do, but in Disney it just made sense. She came running up to me, and she was very short, so she ended up grabbing my leg and hugging it, and she said, we just want to say thank you to all of you guys for making our trip so amazing. We've saved for a long time to come, and without you guys it wouldn't have been anything. And I was like, oh my god. And I cried then as well. I was like, you're so cute. Like, for someone that doesn't know you and a guest to come up and say, as a cast member group, like, you've all made our trip, we wouldn't have enjoyed this holiday as much if it wasn't for the cast members and all the hard work you do. That's such a nice thing to say. Like, if you have a good cast member, tell them, because oh my god, it's like so appreciated, because there's a lot of people that are always like willing to complain and argue, and it's so nice and it's so rare, not just at Disney, to get people to praise a good job. It's like just doesn't happen, and it's so rewarding when you get told by someone that you've done a really great job. And that was just literally the icing on the cake for this. It was so good. Next week is going to be the juicy ones, the ones you've been waiting for, the ones that are bad, the ones that kind of made me not want to do my program, the horror stories. They're always the best, aren't they? Which is why I think I've left them to like nearer the end, because I might actually have to make a couple of episodes, because some of the stories I need to go quite a lot of depth in. I keep bigging up these stories. I promise you some of them are pretty good. Someone almost died, if that like throws how kind of cool that story is. So definitely tune into that one next week, because I think I might start with that one, or I might end with it. We'll find out next week. But I think that's kind of all I'm going to cover on some of the good things. Obviously, I worked for Disney in the summer. It was awesome. If I think of anything, I'll obviously add them in the comments or something. But it was awesome. I recommend you do it. Make sure you tune in next week for my horror stories, and I will see you later. Bye!